Welcome to Fantastic Females, our adventure to finding the mythical island of freedom together. I'm Kalyani.
And I'm Rupali. We are your next door finance experts sharing our experiences in the world of money and energetics. Hi everyone, welcome back. So today we're going to be talking about Tesla, Elon Musk, Twitter, given that that's all the buzz in the news these days. You see his name come up a lot, you see Twitter come up a lot, and Elon Musk come up a lot. And I know a lot of people that aren't quite familiar with what's been happening. So we thought we'd shed some light on the situation based on our knowledge.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been such a popular story, and there is a lot to read up on it. There are a lot of facts and a lot of sides to the story. It may be interesting for some people may not relate to it, but it's hard to ignore it. It's really all around us. So we're here to break it down in an easy way for you to understand.
Yes. So maybe let's just go back to basics in terms of who Elon Musk is, because we know him as the Tesla guy. We know now that he's the Twitter guy, but maybe let's just go back to basics and let's just bring it back to basics and discuss who he is as a person, as an individual. Elon Musk was born actually in Pretoria, South Africa, which is where I am from.
Wow. I had no idea, actually. I have to say I'm pretty ignorant about his origins and his personal kind of details up till now.
Yeah. So let me actually elaborate a little bit on that then, so that we
Please.
can all kind of know who this guy is. Yeah, so he was born in Pretoria. He was born in 1971, which, makes him around 51 now. And he moved to Canada when he was 17. He's got very many companies down his belt in terms of being the founder of companies, majorly in tech and finance. So his very first company was called Zip2, which he found with his brother. The startup was then acquired in 1999 for $307 million at the time, which is well more than what $307 million means today. The same year, he also co-founded the online bank, which is called X.com. This company later then merged with a company called Confinity in 2000, which makes it 1 year. He founded it in 1999. It merged with another company within the same year to form PayPal, which then thereafter was bought by eBay. So eBay bought PayPal in 2002 for $1.5 billion. So this is kind of what he's done in his initial few years of entrepreneurship. As a young guy, he sold his first company at the age of 28. I think that's very, very inspiring. At that age, having found and sold a company, I mean, Kalyani, you relate to that, don't you? Because you formed and sold a company at quite a young age too. So kudos to you too.
I did, and you always remind me and make me laugh. I never thought Elon Musk and myself would be brought up in the same sentence, but thank you for that lovely parallel. I will remember this in future.
So yeah, I definitely think it's a big achievement. I mean, I've not founded or sold any company, so there you have it.
I would like to, just for people who might be curious, mention that 1.9 billion from 2002 with a standard level of inflation comes to about $3 billion today. So it's a large figure. And he then went on to invest this, I would imagine, in his next venture, which was SpaceX. Completely different, completely out of the box. And yeah, we can carry on talking about what he did.
Yeah, thanks for that. As you said, he did invest that into SpaceX. That's an aerospace manufacturer. This was in 2002. This was years before people were talking about a lot of these space ventures and missions and things like that. That's 20 years ago. That's quite a long time ago. And so he found that. In 2004 is when he was an early investor into Tesla. So maybe let's just break that down again. In terms of Tesla, he's not the founder. People link Tesla and Elon Musk directly as if he's the only person who as if he's the founder. He's not the founder. Tesla was incorporated in 2003 by Martin Eberhard and Mark Tarpenning as Tesla Motors. So he eventually becomes the largest single share owner of Tesla, which is probably when a lot of us, or after which a lot of us actually found out a lot more about Tesla, given the way he drove the company. As we see, he has quite a unique approach in what he does and how he does it. And his latest story is about Twitter. Now, Kalyani, when do you think the first time it was when he kind of said he wants to invest in Twitter?
So I personally only heard about it in April, May this year, when I was dabbling into day trading, and his reactions or Twitter's responses were having such a major impact on how the stock was moving on that day, especially Tesla was moving on that day, and it would also have an impact on Nasdaq's index as well. So that's when I heard about it. I didn't know about this before.
So I just read about it, and he kind of first indicated that he'd like to buy Twitter or invest in Twitter in 2017. Yeah. So about 4 to 5 years later is when all of this kind of pans out. So when we get impatient with our decisions and our intentions and all of that, I mean, let that sink in. 5 years later, Elon Musk, such a strong personality, that's when he gets what he wanted. In a very difficult, challenging way, but...
Correct me if I'm wrong also, Rupali. From what I understand, his reasons for wanting to be in a controlling position with Twitter was to be somewhat of a legitimate competitor to Meta or Mark Zuckerberg, being the biggest holder of data, human data in our world currently. There are 3 billion users of Facebook and 2 billion users of Instagram, last I checked. There might be duplicates, of course, amongst these populations, but that's a massive number of people who subscribe to these products and who post on them regularly. They have relationships based on these products. People are getting married now based on social media. And we've heard things like, your insurance premiums will be based on what the companies can see on your social media. If they see you drinking a lot, your insurance premium might be higher in the future. Jobs are definitely being screened. Job prospects are definitely being screened in terms of employers looking at prospective employees' social media to know more about them, etc. So much of our life and so much of data is being stored in that meta system that that becomes a very singular monopoly in the world, and he wanted to give that a check. He wanted to bring more democracy in that market, and that's his pure ideological reason for going far lengths in acquiring Twitter.
Exactly. Data is all what it's about, isn't it? Big data, AI, this, that, it's all data related, and data is becoming such a commodity that every big corporate, every little company, everyone is kind of after data, because that's ultimately the future. You can do whatever you need to with it. And so with that comes power. And yes, along with that, I think it's also about the influence that social media has on people. And I think Elon Musk has made it very clear that freedom of speech is a big thing, and individuals controlling what we're able to express and what we can't is something that he doesn't support. And so that's also a drive behind it. So to kind of pan out or move forward on his intention to buy Twitter on March 2022, on the 14th, Elon Musk quietly acquires about 9.2% of Twitter.
Quietly. I love it.
Quietly. Quietly, because, with that comes a threat. He bought it in the open market, which is what quietly means.
Yep.
It's not that quiet. I agree with you. And the amount was certainly not something that would remain quiet. But I think, let's just, Kalyani, why don't you kind of elaborate on what open market means?
Open market means the market that you and I would normally go to when we want to buy shares, and it's where buyers and sellers come together to exchange shares of companies in exchange for its price or the value of the share. Normally, when it's a large buyer or an institutional buyer, they have different ways of procuring large stakes in companies. Sometimes it's also a very sit down conversation with the board of directors, especially when we're talking about such a large amount, such a large kind of singular ownership. And can you let's go into a little bit of detail, Rupali, about what happened, because even I had a question, like an initial question about, why would the leadership of Twitter want to hand over their company to someone who sometimes is not very politically correct and will now be hemming this microphone, will now be hemming this large media organization.
So let's just go back in terms of what happened to highlight how it all happened to give you your answer.
Sure.
So basically, after he purchased, he quietly acquired his 9.2% in the stake, he then disclosed this stake to the company. He then filed to the US regulator, revealing that he is the largest shareholder. So after this was revealed, this is when, within a day of disclosing his stake, Musk was offered a seat on the board, which he then accepted on Twitter's board, that is.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, and that was on 5th of April, but for some reason, 6 days later on the 11th, he decided against joining Twitter's board. So that act basically fueled speculation that there will be a hostile takeover of Twitter. So that's when all the drama really began. That's probably when most of us heard about what's going on. And after that, there was a lot of kind of back and forth around the deal, some offers being made. Twitter, the company, did not want Elon Musk to take over it. And it launched what's called a poison pill, which is something that's used by companies to prevent a hostile takeover.
Can I just stop you for a second, Rupali, to go into a little bit of detail about a hostile takeover? When companies go public, this is one of the risks that they need to accept in terms of unknown people taking over parts of your company. This is the cost of raising the funds from the public, right? This is the cost of sharing ownership. So in certain cases, when billionaires or large corporations see profit in upcoming businesses, they might be able to just buy a majority share, and based on the company's kind of board of directors, etc., there may not be a lot that can be done in such a situation. Just a random parallel back to Disney, my current favorite right now, and we spoke about it in our last podcast episode. Hopefully you've all heard it. Will be that they went through 2 cycles of an attempted hostile takeover as well. And in such situations, the most commonly known 2 options would be to either be able to share ownership in a conducive manner, in an amicable manner, and have the single shareholder as an individual or the corporation come in as a part of the board of directors, and there should be some sort of consensus in leadership styles, in the vision for the company, etc. Or the parent company would need to produce enough funds to buy this person's stake out, and then they're at the mercy of this person, and that person or the corporation may or may not agree, and this becomes a really messy, muddy kind of situation, and that's what we refer to as a hostile takeover. Twitter decided to make it harder or less profitable for Elon Musk to take them over, but Elon Musk persisted. Twitter had some offers from private equity funds as well, but that didn't work out because Elon was blocking those deals from going through, I'm guessing. And then what happened, Rupali? I want to know the
Right.
story.
So after,
I want the story. I feel like I'm listening to a story.
So after that happened, basically there was some back and forth. Eventually the deal went through, which is when then he kind of had to announce how he's going to fund this deal, right? And that's when a lot of speculation began. So on April 29th, which is a few days after the deal kind of went through, he boosts his cash position by selling off $8.9 billion in Tesla stock, saying no further sales were planned.
Yeah, this is when I was hearing about it, like I mentioned, around April time.
Yeah. So he then eventually kind of, I mean, that's how it all played out. I mean, there were hiring freezes. There's a lot been in the news recently. He's kind of gotten rid of the board. He's named himself the chief executive. He's done lots of, things in the company. The company has lost revenue as a result of that too, because big companies that were advertising with him were concerned around advertising on Twitter because of, the uncertainty around the company itself. Then I think we've all heard this one where initially Twitter has a blue tick, which is a verified account. And that was meant to have had a price. So it's free. It used to be free. I think it still is. But it was announced that it'll be $4, after which then Elon Musk came out and said, no, it'll be $9. And he wants at least 50% of Twitter's revenue to come from this blue tick revenue. So that's also driven a lot of speculation on the market. Something else that I also read about that was very interesting in terms of, other car brands and companies that advertise with Twitter. They also put their advertising plans on hold because think about it. Elon Musk is owner of Tesla. He drives, that's his company. Well, now I think it's about 15% that he holds. But they kind of have doubts that he will then take their information and use it, in unethically. So there's a lot going on behind the scenes, or actually, I mean, I know about it, so it's probably not behind the scenes, but there's a lot going on around this company and everything. So, yeah. So Kalyani, don't you want to then go into, bring it back to stock markets and kind of highlight why Tesla's stock price has been so volatile and what's happening there?
The one-word answer would be sentiments and market sentiment. 2 words, really. But all of this uncertainty, markets don't like uncertainty. And there is too much going on with this entity, Elon Musk, Tesla, Twitter. If we lump them together, there's too much going on there for the market to for the share price to grow, for the market to see confidence in the companies. And you may have heard of, if you watch Shark Tank or something, there's always talk of people investing in venture capitalists, in that case, investing in the vision of the person behind the company, not so much the product, not on the way the presentation is made, etc. So once again, investors in Twitter and Tesla are investing in or away from Elon Musk and how they perceive him to be. And if he's not coming across as being very stable, then the company's investors want to flee and they want to cut their losses. They don't want anything to do with this and invest their money elsewhere, even at a loss. That's what's happening. And there's a part of that. And there's also a part of, from Tesla's perspective, if Elon Musk is selling their shares, they don't know now what happens to the majority leadership, the majority ownership of the company. And Tesla is so synonymous with Elon Musk that the common investor doesn't know what it would mean in terms of his final shareholding capacity, etc. So his diehard fans who bought into the vision of Elon Musk equals Tesla Motors and were diehard fans of the cars as well, don't quite know where they sit now. So they're selling their shares in that fear, in that anxiety. And of course, there are rumors of Elon Musk selling his shares on a large scale, which obviously means that Tesla's shares have increased in supply, and that always means that the price has gone down. So that's pretty much what's happening right now. I would also like to mention that Tesla was included, in S&P 500 only in 2019. So before that, it wasn't considered big enough to be included in S&P 500. S&P 500 is an index which is used to measure the performance of generally the stock market in the US. It's taken as an indicator. And it includes the 500 largest companies in the US markets. So it wasn't even considered big enough until so recently, as recent as 2019. So maybe the investors, the stock is not as mature as we think as it is, and we need to see it in its 360 instead of just getting anxious and going with the waves of the market right now.
So just to kind of add color to what Kalyani just mentioned around stock price volatility and what's happened, equity markets this year, so that means stock markets this year have had a rough year. And the US stock market, depending on how you look at it, I'm just looking at MSCI US, has lost around 22% from the 1st of January to today. That's based on the speculation around interest rates, inflation, which is staying high. And we discussed a lot of these things in our previous episodes. So if you'd like further information, then please listen to those. But the reason why I mentioned this number is because Tesla's...
Sorry to interrupt you once again, Rupali. MSCI, what is MSCI for people who don't know?
MSCI is an American finance company which is headquartered in New York. It provides various different indices, and an index is kind of... So when I say MSCI USA, it's all the stocks that are traded in the US. There are some rules that they filter stocks in and out in terms of liquidity, which is how easy it is to find a buyer if you're selling, and how easy is it to find a seller if you're buying. And so MSCI USA represents the US market, basically.
So same as S&P 500. S&P 500 has the S&P, which stands for Standard & Poor's, which is another company that does similar things in terms of company ratings, etc. And yes, you were telling us about MSCI USA losing 22% and the general market performance in 2022.
Yeah, so...
a lot of 22s there. Sorry, 22% in 2022. Yes. Sorry, please carry on.
So, as Kalyani mentioned, the various different indices. We'll mention a few names now and then, and so apologies if we don't clarify, but S&P 500 is the top 500 companies in the US. MSCI US covers a broader spectrum of companies, so it's not just driven by the big few necessarily. And so that has lost 22% this year. Tesla has lost about 55% this year. So it is that much more than standard markets. And that's
Twitter has lost, guess, 22% this year.
So it's in line with markets, basically.
Yes, very much. Yes. So I would like to conclude that the hoo-ha, which is why we wanted to do an episode on Elon today, is more so to do with his public persona, more so to do, once again, with the emotions around him and what he's built as his brand. When you and I go out in the world, we all have a certain personal brand, right? It's become a buzzword these days in marketing. But if you think of it in a very simple way, if I meet Rupali, if I think of Rupali as well, I know the kind of person that she is from my interactions with her. And these days with social media, that obviously gets magnified in terms of what people choose to put out there for themselves, what persona people choose to put out or be in front of a large audience. We are talking about public personalities. We're talking about their PR machineries, their kind of current status in life, etc., that shows up in their media. And Elon Musk is one of these highly controversial people who kind of forces you almost to pick a side between loving him or hating him. And that's the reason behind him appearing on front pages of newspapers across the world today.
No, and so just to add to that, I agree. I think it's there's one thing that's the intention, and then the second thing is how you go about it. While we may or may not agree with his style, he may come across as arrogant, he may come across as many different things. I think it's also what he's trying to do that should kind of really, be taken into context when you decide how you feel about a person like that. And you can be neutral. I'm pretty neutral to Elon Musk. I find him inspirational, but I may or may not agree with his style. And so what he's trying to get at, right? He's trying to get at freedom of speech. He's trying to clean up Twitter. He's trying to, his next indication in terms of what he wants to do is convert it into a finance company, which, who would have thought payments through Twitter, peer-to-peer payments, that's like just next level. It's linked back to his industry of X.com, which was an online finance company, which, as we said, became PayPal and got support by eBay. And so that's kind of what he's trying to achieve.
In conclusion, this matter brings to light the sentiments around a highly controversial personality such as Elon Musk. And this really speaks to his kind of public image and the impact that has on the companies that he's associated with, in this case, Tesla and Twitter. As a shareholder of Tesla, I would be really worried about the way that this has been dealt with. And even though I think there is a fundamental value that the company provides in terms of its electric cars, etc., we need to see stronger leadership. And as of Twitter, the big update, and this is quite a unique thing for beginners to see in the stock market, is that the company has been delisted off the stock exchanges, which means that it now is a privately owned company, and any shareholders who held on to Twitter's shares are being paid at the rate of $54.2 per share. So this episode was just both of us having a conversation and breaking down something that's quite current and relevant in the news around us today.
So with that, we bring this episode of Our Financial Adventure to an end. Please follow us on all social media platforms at Fantastic Females.
None of the information provided is financial advice, and Fantastic Females is not a financial advisor.
The information provided is educational only. It is general in nature and does not take into account your personal circumstances.